Good afternoon. My name's Tim Ports. I am the executive editor of Biomass magazine. Welcome to a short rundown of the 2015 International Biomass Conference and Expo. Looking forward to previewing the event, share with you some of the important deadlines, share with you some of the great content that we've already pulled together from a tour and co-located event perspective. Share with you some ideas based on what we know about our attendees, the audience that we have amassed for this incredible event. And thanks so much for joining us. We're going to spend about 25 minutes working through a very short agenda. I'll be joined this afternoon by John Nelson, Sales and Marketing Director here at BBI International. And John will join us later on in the presentation to talk specifically about our audience, sponsor benefits, and how we really work hard to maximize this event for all of the stakeholders that will be joining us this spring in Minneapolis. Very short rundown here of the agenda. Certainly want to talk about some important deadlines. Most importantly, a deadline that's occurring just next week, very near and dear to my heart. That's an abstract deadline that we'll talk about here in a moment. I want to talk about the tracks that we have arrived at for the International Biomass Conference and Expo. It's the same tracks that we've had at the event for about the last 3 or 4 years. So we'll be accepting abstracts into all of those tracks, talk about our success of putting together tracks that draw and bring in folks that operate in those segments to our event. Certainly want to talk about our speaker program and how we support speakers at our event and the poster presenters as well, the system, the machine that we've put together to make sure that once you are named to the conference agenda that you're well taken care of, that you're well looked after, and that really all you need to focus on for the event is the quality of your presentation. Certainly want to draw some attention to some industry awards that are now a tradition at the International Biomass Conference and Expo. Some very late-breaking news here, co-located event. I'm looking forward to talking about what we've already established as a co-located event for this year's International Biomass Conference and Expo. We want to talk about networking opportunities at the conference. All of us working in the space of course, have an opportunity to reach out to one another with phone and an email, but conferences continue to be unique in their ability to connect people face-to-face in a business environment, and certainly want to talk about that. At that point, I'll be handing the conversation over to my colleague, John Nelson. He'll talk about our event from a attendee and sponsor perspective. We'll talk about our sponsorship packages for those of you that are considering and participating in the event in that way. And I certainly want to stick around till the end of the event. As per usual with the BBI webinar, there is an exclusive discount to those of you that are on the phone with us today. So again, I thank you for your time and certainly want to get started. As I mentioned, probably the biggest thing for me is I want to draw attention to this December 23rd time frame. And anyone that follows the Biolog blog on Biomass magazine, last week my blog was entitled The Greatest Show on Earth, and it was essentially a welcome, an invitation to the broader biomass industry to submit your presentation ideas for consideration for this event. That deadline, kind of unbelievably, is already upon us. It's next week, December 23rd, 2014. And we've really been humbled by the response that we get for this event, and we get some really quality presentations. People are coming forward and saying, I'm ready to talk about this, and I want to do that at your event. I want to do that in front of the audience that the International Biomass Conference and Expo brings together. So if you're considering throwing your hat in the ring, and I hope certainly at the conclusion of this call that you've decided that indeed this is an event that you feel strongly that you need to participate in, be a part of, be a presenter at, definitely need to see that abstract by next week. Before we started the call, we were just talking internally, and 1 month from today, we'll be announcing the agenda, the final agenda for the International Biomass Conference and Expo. And I know I'm not the only one that feels this way. I feel like we just wrapped the conference in Orlando for 2014, but of course that isn't the case. Some of the other deadlines here that are important to consider depending upon how you're going to participate in the event. Our early bird deadline this year is March 11th. We'll be taking poster abstracts all the way up to March 16th. And so we try and give folks as much time to bring their poster ideas together for us, recognizing that a lot of our posters come out of colleges, and heck, folks are on break right now, or they might not understand what sort of research they want to be a part of next semester. So we're going to keep that poster submission portal as long as we possibly can. March 16th is the day there. Awards, the nomination deadline for the awards, certainly also exhibiting and sponsoring the event, are March 20th. And largely those deadlines are there so that we can make sure that all of the information is able to be included in our on-site signage and program guide. And if you've been in a BBI event, you know that we take the production quality of program guides and on-site signage very seriously. So we have to have time to make all those things a reality. And so March 20th are dates you certainly want to be aware of. At this point, I just want to talk very quickly about the tracks that we will be having this year at the International Biomass Conference. Again, if you're familiar with the event, these have been unchanged for about 3 or 4 years now. And so the tracks of the conference very closely reflect the the segments inside of Biomass Magazine. Track 1, one of our most popular tracks year after year here, pellets and densified biomass. No surprise there with the way that particular segment in the industry is going. Explosive growth, set to double by 2020, again from somewhere in the vicinity of a 23 million ton annual global trade volume up to 50 million by 2020. Most market forecasters suggest. So this continues to be a sector that is very busy for us, both on the print side and certainly on the conference side as well. Possible topics and presentations and panels we've had before fall into this sort of certainly not exhaustive list of possible topics here. Feedstock procurement, harvest and transport of biomass, pellet mill design. We just finished up a very interesting feature for the January issue of Biomass Magazine on pellet mill operations and maintenance with an eye on dust mitigation, not just protecting your plant from sparks and fires as dust accumulates, but how can I operate my facility to minimize the production of dust to begin with? Mill operation and management, market analysis and forecast. Looking forward to sharing some more information on some of the forecasting I did just to open the conversation about this track. International and domestic policy drivers and pellet quality and standards. So certainly want to hear from anyone that has notions, ideas, has done work on these topics, and certainly others as well. Track 2 is our biomass power and thermal track, and we see really a gamut, everything from the deployment of small commercial or residential pellet appliances, all the way up to large district heating operations and co-firing at standalone, formerly coal-fired power plants. So very broad range here, looking to have receive abstracts in all of these topic areas and more. Track 3 is the biogas and landfill gas track. I'm really proud of this track. This track 5 or 6 years ago when I started in this role and we organized the event differently, we really did struggle to get kind of a critical mass of interested parties in terms of wanting to speak, wanting to share their expertise. And about 3 years ago, we really turned the corner. And biogas and landfill gas is a really, really significant portion of the International Biomass Conference and Expo. This particular track is has been completely filled out, 6 great panels for the last 3 or 4 years. Last year, we had a biogas facility as part of our touring offering on Thursday. We're working on a similar stop this year. Not ready to announce anything, but there are some biogas operations in the Twin Cities area, so it continues to be a really, really important part of our show, and looking forward to bringing some expertise to the table for all of you relative to biogas and landfill gas. Our fourth track, advanced biofuels and bio-based chemicals. Minnesota and Iowa certainly, I would argue, they're as much on the tip of the advanced biofuels and bio-based chemicals spear as any other region in the country. Anyone following BBI Media Products knows that we have been certainly all over the Project Liberty story, the Abengoa story in Hugoton, Kansas, the DuPont cellulosic facility in Nevada, Iowa. In Minnesota, you've got GEVO. Green Biologics now is emerging as a project that continues to move down the line. So looking forward to really tapping into that regional story of advanced biofuel, the expansion of the advanced biofuel, advanced ethanol industries, as well as bio-based chemicals, and then hearing already, I'm seeing abstracts come in from around the world. So it's really an exciting track for us, and certainly anybody that's got something to say about strategic partnerships, enzyme development, thermochemical pathways, dedicated energy crops, drop-in fuels, again, market analysis, always popular at our event. So certainly welcome you to share that expertise in that category with us if that's something that you do. I've talked and gushed a little bit about the benefits of being a speaker at a BBI international event, and it's all very intentional. I think we do well with speaker support because we put a high priority on it. Anyone who has been a part of our event, certainly everyone that was responded to our survey last year that was a speaker at the International Biomass Conference and Expo said that they would participate and be a speaker at another BBI event. And that's because we take care of folks. Again, I said this at the top of the call. We want our speakers to be able to show up and concentrate singularly and only and solely on their presentation. I don't want folks worried about the quality of the audio visual. I don't want people wondering if we're working hard to draw attention to their panel and to their expertise in particular. We do that as a practice, and we work hard with our speaker population to make sure that, again, we're attracting an audience and we're putting you in a position to have a well-produced atmosphere, to share your expertise. We recognize that there's a lot of work, a lot of time that goes into participating and sharing your expertise with an audience, and we want you to be glad that you chose a BBI International event to do that. Probably most of you recognize Sue Conroe, my colleague in the photograph here, and Sue will continue to run our speaker support program, and you'll see her smiling face in Minneapolis if you choose to join us as a speaker. So certainly want to talk about that. I want to talk about the industry tours that are already confirmed. Not to say that this is an exhaustive list, but this list alone, these two facilities alone, have got me really excited. In late fall last year for the 2014 National Advanced Biofuels Conference and Expo, we made the decision that we would offer a tour of the Poet DSM Project Liberty facility in Emmitsburg, Iowa. It's a 3-hour bus ride to Emmitsburg, but we felt like the quality of the tour would probably attract an audience. And at a show of at that event, we were able to fill a 55-person bus. The ride really zooms by. We've got it figured out. If you have not been to this facility and you are not from the Midwest, I heartily and strongly recommend that you take the opportunity to get on a bus, drive down to Emmitsburg, Iowa, and see history. This is a piece of history. It's an important facility in our industry, and it is definitely worth seeing. And we make it really easy. You get on the bus, you go down, you come back, and in one day, yes, you spend some time on the bus, but it's very much worth seeing. Another facility that's much closer, much shorter drive, Coda Energy in Shakopee, Minnesota. CODA is a really unique facility. I was just there last week. This is a biomass combined heat and power facility that operates on the biomass residues produced by a very large, maybe the world's largest malting facility just across the parking lot, raw malting, as well as some urban wood waste streams. So both of these are confirmed tours. There will be more tours announced, but at this time, this is all that we are in a position to be able to announce. But as I said, I think both of these facilities by themselves are very incredible and great opportunities to see biomass energy production up close and personally. I want to talk just a little bit about industry awards. We feel like we've certainly established the International Biomass Conference and Expo as one of North America's premier biomass industry gatherings. And we wanted to use that platform as a means to recognize people and projects that we really feel are exemplary. So we pulled together a nomination steering committee, and we accept nominations for both Groundbreaker of the Year. So these are projects that have in the past year undergone, the vast majority of their construction efforts and come online, as well as honoring an individual with our Excellence in Bioenergy Award. So again, the deadline for those nominations are in February, March 20th, 2015, and we welcome your nominations for those. We've been steadily growing a poster component of our event at the International Biomass Conference and Expo. Deadline for posters is March 16th. Fantastic way for postgraduates to have a forum to share their work, share their research in the biomass conversion space. The poster presenters are managed in the same way that speaker presenters are managed, and we take very good care of those folks and continue to enjoy seeing our poster session grow year after year. So again, we keep that portal open, and it will accept poster abstracts all the way up to March 16th, 2015. I'm really, really excited for this. I'm really excited to announce that this year at the International Biomass Conference and Expo, on Monday, April 20th, Heating the Midwest will be co-located on the International Biomass Conference and Expo property. This is the first public announcement of that reality, and we're really thrilled. For 3 or 4 years, ever since Heating the Midwest began, we would see those folks at our event. The organizers of Heating the Midwest have a great relationship with them. And 2 years ago, imagined what would it be like if we were able to host Heating the Midwest as a co-located event at the International Biomass Conference and Expo whenever it finds itself in Minneapolis, Minnesota again. And I'm very, very excited to announce that today, as of today, the Heating the Midwest will transpire on the International Biomass Conference and Expo campus on Monday, April 20th. And that is just going to be a great way to kickstart this event, sort of a hyper-local look at biomass heating as an entree into a much broader conversation about biomass to energy in general. So thrilled for that. Those of you that have been at BBI international events know that we take sort of the unwind very, very seriously at the International Biomass Conference and Expo. It's long days. There's long days. There's lots of content to take in. People are sitting in presentations, talking to exhibitors, walking our expo show floor. And it's just nice to have 90 minutes, couple hours to just unwind, take in some music, take in some entertainment, see a local site. This actually is a photograph that was taken at the Nicollet Island Pavilion here in Minneapolis. I'm not sure that that's exactly where we're going to go back, but Wednesday evenings are always a fun night at the International Biomass Conference and Expo. If you're coming, I certainly suggest that you stay on for that. It's a good time, great opportunity to network with folks that you've met at the event. This is one of my favorite pictures. in the whole slide deck, and because I think it makes a very, very important point for me. So what you're looking at here is the Pellet Mill Magazine editorial board from about 2 years ago. Some of those folks still are important members of our board. And with the exception of Jennifer Hedrick standing right next to me, everyone in this photograph is a pellet producer. So, and pellet producers are really an audience that's really come on for us in the International Biomass Conference and Expo last year when it comes to producer registrations that John will talk about here very shortly. We offer producer passes across the industry. So if you are a producer of advanced biofuels, you can qualify for producer registration. Biogas, same thing. Biomass power, same thing. The largest contingent of producer registrations at last year's International Biomass Conference and Expo were pellet producers. I think that's incredible. The numbers are really exciting, and I always like to catch up with not only these folks, but other producers in the space. And the International Biomass Conference and Expo is increasingly becoming a really great spot to do that. So this is a really important one. And this right here is sort of what I think this is probably central to how we go about hosting this event. We've made a decision that the men and women that work in producing plants can come to the International Biomass Conference and Expo for free. There is no charge for them. So that's really important. We know that the vast majority of our sponsors and exhibitors, those are the folks that they really want stopping at their booth. Those are the people that they want to have back and forth with on the expo floor. So this is very much by design, and our producer audience has rewarded us with their attendance. We think that's just a great thing. At this point, I'm going to hand the baton off to a colleague of mine, John Nelson. John, why don't you talk to us a little bit about how serious we take expo time and sponsored benefits. Go ahead, John.
Well, thank you, Tim, and I definitely want to thank everyone for being on today's webinar and spending some time with us. And I guess at this point, you're well aware that the International Biomass Conference and Expo is taking place in Minneapolis, but what we really want to point out is the fact that this show offers world-class content and volumes of networking opportunities. And as it has in the past, the conference is expected to bring nearly 1,400 in attendance and will contain compelling panel sessions and speakers focused specifically on, as Tim mentioned, biomass power and thermal, advanced biofuels, bio-based chemicals, biogas, pellets, policy, project development, and finance. And so when we're looking at whether or not this should be a show for you to attend, there are really 5 reasons why we believe participating in this year's event would be very beneficial to you and your company. The first we would say is you're going to get a high return on your investment, and this is based on our surveys. The biomass exhibitors and sponsors connect with the right people and make business deals happen. And based on our surveys, we know that 98% of all exhibitors said they'd return. Another point that we want to mention is you'll join, as I stated earlier, 1,400 professionals focused on biomass. You can be a part of the largest biomass exhibition in North America. The best biomass industry products and services will be there. And as that last slide said, producers will be attending. We know from our surveys, based on our surveys and our registration, 33% of last year's attendees identified themselves as an existing or future biomass producer of power or fuel. So you'll get the perspective of biomass producers and discuss how your service or product can help them achieve their goals. A fourth point that I want to make is we have very focused audience groups at this event. We have 4 tracks, and as we said, they're focused on pellets and densified biomass, biomass power and thermal, biogas and landfill gas, and advanced biofuels and bio-based chemicals. And you'll be able to sponsor a track focused on your target audience. So as a company, you say, well, I'm really in this niche of the biomass industry. This is what I want to go after. People focused on biogas, and you can target in on that track specifically and reach that audience. And the last point I want to say is there are multiple networking sessions. That really is what leads me into this slide. Is as a sponsor exhibitor, you'll meet and share your product and have your, and have your service demonstrated multiple times throughout the show. And what we're saying on this slide is we went through and we calculated all the time that's dedicated just for exhibitors. And this is between breakfast breaks, lunch breaks, evening receptions, refreshment breaks, and we said there are 10 hours where we have dedicated expo time, where attendees and producers can come through and meet with exhibitors and chat with them one-on-one. And we also did this because we saw there was a need for it based on the feedback from the survey. So we listened and we said, okay, what can we do to change? And in fact, on Tuesday at 10:30, we have nothing scheduled. We have literally just dedicated expo time scheduled on the agenda. So nothing else is going on. And so we wanted to make sure that people understood that we are listening and we're making those changes to help make it a better experience for you. Next slide, please. So here we have the Expo map. Now, there's a couple things I want to point out here. One, we may have to expand, or it looks like we're going to have to expand it again. Obviously, the show is quite a few months out, and it's nearly sold out based on this map. So if you are thinking about getting a booth, don't wait. Definitely contact us and get your booth locked in and take advantage of it now before it's too late. So what we're looking at here on the map is you can see there's an innovation stage in the upper left-hand corner. And I want to point that out because as a sponsor or exhibitor, you have the opportunity to present your product or service. And it can be a commercial. It doesn't need to be about content, but we will help promote you and promote that schedule to all the attendees and let them know that a presentation will be happening at a certain time. So as an exhibitor or sponsor, we would reach out to you and say, hey, do you have something you want to present? And we would put you on the list, and it would be first come, first served basis, and we would put you on there and we would promote that, and with the hopes that the attendees would be coming in there. And we have done this in the past with other events, and it has worked. The other thing I want to point out is we have a giveaway stage, and that's a nice place where we'll be pulling traffic, and I have a slide coming up that talks about our bingo cash card giveaway, and I'll jump into that in a little bit. But know that again, there's another spot where we'll be generating traffic on the expo floor. We also have bars located throughout the floor. We also have food and beverage, in the aisles. And last, I want to point out that Equipment Expo is also at the top of this particular map, and we already have New Holland, we have AGCO, they're participating. If you do have equipment that you want to bring to this event, definitely contact us, and we can make arrangements to bring your equipment to the show. So the big thing with this particular slide, the takeaway that you want to have on this is get your booth now. They're going fast. And also really note that we are doing everything we can to make sure that traffic is staying in the expo hall and they're mingling with you if you are an exhibitor. Next slide, please. So who attends? Well, based on our past attendees, we know that you're going to be bumping into exhibitors. Exhibitors, but you'll be bumping into producers, existing and future biomass producers, and you'll have economic development people there, scientists. As Tim mentioned, there's some academics. We get a lot of academics based on the poster sessions. You're going to see public works directors, wastewater management managers, and so on, and the list goes on. And so you can definitely take a look at that. We've got this audience. We've got it tracked. We understand who's going to be there, why they're there. So definitely when you're on the phone, if you're looking at attending this event, know that these are the people that are there. And it's really driven by the content that Tim and his team are putting together. It's strong content, and those people are looking for this type of, the type of information that we're providing. Next slide, please. This slide actually surprised me. When we were looking at it, I was putting together the number of countries. In 2 years ago, we were around 29 countries. Now, last year, we jumped up to 41 countries. And so very, very impressed by those numbers. What we are determining that this is starting to become the premier international event for biomass, for the biomass industry. People are starting to recognize that it is important. It's also an indicator that the markets are expanding, and as someone in this industry, this is the place to be to contact, other producers or other investors who are looking at expanding in other countries. As you can see, we've got a list here of 41 countries. These are straight off our attendee list. We also had 49 states represented and 7 provinces from Canada represented. It's truly an international event. Next slide, please. So what are the exhibitors saying? As an exhibitor, and this is based on our survey results, we got back from last year's exhibitors, 100% of the exhibitors positively rated the quality of leads they received. So the people that were coming by their booth, they said, man, these are good leads. These are people I want to be talking to. 98% of the exhibitors said they'd return. That's almost unheard of for us. In any field, when you're dealing with exhibitors, to have almost 100% of them say they'd return, we were extremely excited about that. And 98% of attendees would recommend this conference. So we're very proud of those numbers. Wanted to share them with you. And I also want to point out on these slides, if you look at some of the quotes, we have some quotes listed, and these are from actual attendees from companies inside the biomass industry. And so I want to make sure you're taking a look at those, those quotes and reading those and knowing, hey, you could reach out to these people, and they would tell you the exact same thing. So next slide, please. Here's a list of our current sponsors and partners. So this is who is listed already for the show in Minneapolis in April. And so as you can see, we've got a nice coverage from big ag companies and equipment companies all the way to associations that really support the industry. And so this is going to continue to grow, and we're going to continue to get more associations. We're going to continue to get more sponsors. This is not a breakdown of our exhibitor list. This is specifically our sponsor breakdown. So these are the people who are saying, I'm sponsoring this event. Our exhibitor list, as you could tell from the map, is actually quite a bit longer. Next slide, please. So we have some sponsorship packages, and the reason we have this slide in here is to point out that we have a name badge lanyard as a platinum level sponsor, hotel room key, conference bag, evening networking reception, grand opening welcome reception, notebook and pen, blackout bingo, Wednesday evening reception. And as a sponsor, as a platinum level sponsor in these packages, you receive 5 complimentary full conference registrations, a suite upgrade, complimentary hotel room night at the conference hotel, and a boardroom available for private meetings. So those are some of the things that we give you right out of the gate as a platinum level sponsor. Now, next slide, please. What this next slide is going to show is some of the new things we've added to the platinum level sponsors, because we said, hey, we want to give platinum level sponsors a little more value. We want to make sure that they are getting the best bang for their buck and getting as much as they possibly can. And so we said, okay, you get your visual recognition on signage, verbal recognition in the general sessions. So when Tim's on stage, he'll be saying your name and your logo will be up there. But we also added a feature in a 2-page story. It's a sponsor profile section in Biomass magazine. So there's only a limited amount of these, but literally Tim and his team will do a 2-page story, sponsor profile. It's going to highlight the Biomass, International Biomass Conference, and then highlight you as a company in a 2-page spread in Biomass magazine leading up to the event. And that is that alone is worth its weight of what a sponsorship level is. And so I definitely want to make sure that everyone was aware of that and share that with you. You also receive a complimentary 10x10, 2 email blasts to all conference attendees. That's something that everyone's always looking for. How do I get an email list? How do I send out emails to all the attendees? Well, as a sponsor, you get 2 as a platinum. You also get a 1-piece insert in the conference bag. So if you have a handout, if you have a mail piece, a pen, whatever it may be, as long as we can fit it into the bag, we will put it in there for you. You get 1 full-page advertisement in the on-site program guide. And then something new we added. Again, people were asking about the mailing list. So we said, we will actually literally give you a mailing list of all attendees in an Excel spreadsheet. We will email it over to you. And so that way you can follow up with people after the event with a nice mail piece and get even more value out of it. You'll receive a company logo and link to the company link to your company website on every page of the conference website. There'll be a sponsor spotlight. Your company logo and 50-word description will be featured on the conference website. And then we send out roughly 50,000 emails every time we used to get an email blast from us about the International Biomass Conference and Expo. We send out 50,000 emails. And as a sponsor, as a platinum level sponsor, we'll also add you in as a sponsor spotlight. So you will be featured on one of those email blasts that go out before the event. You'll also receive a your company logo on every email blast. And so what that is we have it rotating on the right-hand side. If anyone has seen an email from us, we have all of our sponsors rotating on the right-hand side, and so that'll be listed on there as well. You can have your literature at the sponsor table, and then some other new things. You can do a 30-second commercial on 2 webinars produced by Biomass Magazine. And so in 2014, actually we're winding up 2014, but you can do it in 2015. So this is actually a very powerful piece of this package as well. So you can choose, we have a whole lineup in Biomass Magazine of webinars that will be taking place. You can see what the content will be covered on, and you can say, I want a commercial in this one and this one. And so whatever is relevant to you, we can match you up. And then we have an unlimited number of job listings also that we'll be able to put you in Biomass Magazine. We also have a logo and 50-word description in on-site program guide, and then opportunity to promote separate side events at the conference to attendees through the conference website. We'll post you on your event on the site. So I definitely want to go through all those benefits as a platinum level sponsor and make sure everyone on this call thoroughly understood the amount of opportunities that we are adding to the standard platinum level sponsorship. Next slide, please. Biomass Connect. So this is our specific, basically we have a social media site that is specifically for the International Biomass Conference and Expo. And we call it Biomass Connect. And this is a great place where you can connect with people online, get contact information, set up meetings. You can set up meetings before the event. You can see, hey, so-and-so is registered from this company. I want to meet with them. I can connect with them and try to schedule a meeting on site. So before, during, you can do the same thing. You can promote if you're an exhibitor, you can promote, hey, everyone come to booth 723 and see our new product. Even after the event, you can reach out to people and get contact information. So this is a great tool that you can use both from your computer and from your mobile phone. And so the other big thing I want to point out here is this is the only place where you can download conference presentations. And there is a sponsorship available for Biomass Connect, so definitely take a look at that sponsorship. But attendees come through here. The usage rates are extremely high. And so, and partly what's driving that is this is where you get conference presentations. So definitely take a look at that as a sponsor. And that may be something you want to do, but also as an attendee, you'll gain added value by utilizing this and making the connections. Next slide, please. Blackout Bingo. So this is something I wanted to chat about, and I mentioned it earlier. But Blackout Bingo is a game we've developed to increase traffic to your booth. So as an exhibitor, this is something you would want to participate in. And how does it work? Well, each attendee will receive a Blackout Bingo card upon check-in, and they have to visit and receive a stamp from all 25 participating exhibit booths to be entered into the prize drawing. So what's the prize drawing? Well, currently the grand prize is $5,000 cash. And we've done this for some of our other events in the past, and it is a hit. It is a smash hit. And so we literally give one of the attendees $5,000, and they go up onto the presentation stage, or sorry, the giveaway stage, as we had it listed in the Expo map, and we give them a check for $5,000. So as an exhibitor, you're going to have the opportunity to purchase a bingo square on the card, and like I said, this will increase traffic to your booth. So it'll make sure that these people, these attendees, are coming through and getting that stamp from you. And there's only 25, as we mentioned, and it's limited availability, and they're expected to sell out fast. So definitely contact us if this is something of interest to you. If you think you're exhibiting, make sure you take a look at our Blackout Bingo. And this is something new to this event this year. So if you have been here in the past, you probably haven't heard of this, but definitely take a look at this. Next slide, please. We do have our video. Many of you have viewed it. It's been viewed quite a few times on YouTube. We have this up on YouTube, but it's also listed on our website. I highly recommend you can listen to me chatting and talking about the show, but definitely go on and hear firsthand from attendees, from producers, from association heads, and listen to what they're saying about the show. And you can find that video at www.biomassconference.com. And with that, I'm going to hand it back over to Tim.
Thank you, John. I hope by now that you're definitely getting the idea that this is certainly a labor of love for us. The International Biomass Conference and Expo is probably my favorite 4 days professionally each year. Largely because it represents the end of a tremendous amount of work. No, I say that half jokingly. The reality is it's a great opportunity to see some friends and some colleagues and some mentors of mine in the space. Minneapolis is a fantastic venue. It's a fantastic venue. It's a fantastic city, great food, great music, and great scenery. It's a great place to be. We'd love to bring the International Biomass Conference and Expo back here. Those of you today that joined us today can receive one free registration when you purchase an exhibit, and you just simply need to call or contact us at service@BBI International, or call 866-746-8385. Again, probably the most pressing deadline out there next week, 23rd. Deadline for speaker presentation abstracts. Once again, I am Tim Ports, Executive Editor of Biomass Magazine. Special thanks to my colleague John Nelson, and thanks to all of you for joining us today. Thank you for your attention, and keep reading Biomass Magazine. Thank you very much. Take care.